screen.
It's just said the host is disabled
Oh, is it? Right, okay. So let me just...
Okay. If you wanted to make me the host, I'm quite happy.
Yeah, right, try that now.
Okay, let's try again. Oh. Technology, you've got to love it when it works.
I know, right?
There we go, perfect. Okay, there. Right, can you see that, ladies?
Yes.
Yes, great. Let's get it into slideshow mode. Great, so welcome to our chat tonight. Obviously, I don't know you ladies at all. So my name is Claire Wilshire and I'm the founder of a company called Dr. Me. So Dr. Me is all about looking at health from a whole body perspective. It's all about looking at how we can make really small but effective changes in our lives. So tonight we've chosen the topic, how to lose weight without going on a diet. Which sounds really quite ominous and exciting, and hopefully by the end of today's session you will have learned some information and some strategies as well to put into your daily life that doesn't make it feel like a really big chore, because hopefully by the end of today's session you will have realize that actually just by making a few tweaks here and there, you can really impact what it is you're eating and how you can control your weight a lot easier. So who am I to be stood here talking to you? As I've said, my name's Claire and I'm the founder of Dr. Me. Dr. Me is actually a company that I set up a couple of years ago now, because I've been a PE teacher for 16 years and my husband moves a lot with his job, and I wanted to be able to take control of my career. And it was in a school, I was teaching in a school in Kent actually. And I said to the head teacher, please, could I do a health week? Take the whole school off timetable and just give them a whole week all about health. And she really went for it. And so I planned and then delivered this amazing health week, which I know parents still talk about now. So when I left the school in Kent to move up to North Yorkshire, the head teacher gave me a book, and I was like, it was called the Small Business Startup Workbook. And I was like, why is she giving me this? I'm a teacher, I'm not an entrepreneur, I know nothing about business. And I thought, but hang on a second, I do know quite a lot about health. And what she said to me was, Claire, what you've done here within our school is too good not to do in other schools. And Dr. Me founded from that, really. It's an acronym for diet, resilience, mindset, and exercise. And so it's encompassing health from lots and lots of different angles. And so over the 3 talks that I'm going to do throughout your 12-week program, we will cover quite a lot of the diet, the resilience, and the mindset, and the exercise. And we'll pull on that a lot. Tonight, obviously, we're going to be talking about diet and nutrition a lot more than the other areas, but the other areas do play into it, and we'll touch on that towards the end of today's session. So I've not always had an amazing health myself. When I was at university, unfortunately, I contracted glandular fever, and that turned into chronic fatigue syndrome. So I went from being a really high level hockey player, doing a sports science degree, loving health, loving everything sport related, to all of a sudden being too tired to even climb up the stairs at night. I had to crawl up the stairs, and I was shattered after a conversation. So I went from one extreme of being really fit and healthy, all of a sudden to being just within a shell of a body that didn't work for me. So I know what it's like to be in a body that doesn't work for you, whatever that reason. And we were talking before today's session just about how lockdown has helped put on lots of weight for lots of people, and as a result we're not quite happy with who we are. So as I said at the beginning of today's session, I'm really hoping that you do take things away from this chat or this talk. It's going to be very interactive, so I would love for you ladies to get involved. I'd love it if you could put your keep your videos on, just so that I can see your reactions, because otherwise it's very hard for me just to be talking into a camera. And if you've got any questions as we go, just unmute yourself and ask. There is a chat function, and somewhere hopefully I will be able to see that, because at times I'm going to ask you just to put some answers into the chat function, just so that we can see how each other are feeling. If you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine, but it will be good, just because the more you put into tonight, then you'll get more out of it as well. I'm a big believer of what you put in, you get out. So has anybody got any questions before we get on with today's chat? No, great. Okay, first thing I would like you to do, so in the text section, can you put a number between 1 and 10 with how confident or how happy you are with your body at the moment? So at 7:05 on Thursday, the 1st of April, how happy are you? 0 is really unhappy, and 10 is I am really, really happy with my body. So into the chat function, could you put a number? And I'm not sure that if I can see this actually.
Yeah, you should be able to.
I should be able to.
Yeah, if you the chat is at the bottom.
Oh,
just click on it. It should be near
top
chat.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Okay. So we've got a range. We've got 2, 4, 6, 4, 8. Great. Okay. So hopefully those people with 2 will leave tonight going, I know how to make a few changes to increase my levels or confidence and feeling good about myself. Those people that are 8, brilliant, that's awesome. So hopefully even you might learn a few bits that take you further, to get you further towards that 10. So what we're going to talk about today is all about food. Now, diet actually in Latin is translated as way of life. So I don't particularly like the word diet, because diet sort of refers very much to it being hugely restrictive. People think diet and all of a sudden they automatically think, what can't I have? And that's not what I'm about at all. So as I've set up Dr. Me, and as my job now as a health coach, I'm all about trying to make these changes. And I don't say to people, stop eating sugar, stop eating donuts, stop eating crisps. It's just about making people aware of what they're actually eating. Diet as well is really quite confusing. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. In fact, there's over 30,000 diet books, recipe books, and websites out there all saying this is the diet that's going to work. And there isn't, unfortunately, a one size fits all. So what works for one of you in the room tonight isn't necessarily going to be the right way for other people to get a bit more control over their health and their weight. The reason for that is we have something within our digestive system called your microbiome. Now, it might just be easier. Can you just put your hand up in the air like that if you've heard of your microbiome before?
I've joined a group of this girl.
No? Okay, so our microbiome is essentially, it's a colony, a huge colony of gut bugs or bugs that live within our digestive system. In fact, there's over 100 trillion bacteria, fungi and protozoa that live within our digestive system. And they've got 4 key responsibilities, and I've listed these on the screen. So the microbiome are responsible for digesting food, so breaking it all down, absorbing the calories and giving us energy. They provide us with enzymes and vitamins, so they allow other processes within our bodies to work really effectively. And they also keep our immunity at the best level. So our microbiome, all these trillions of gut bugs within us, are essentially there to give us energy, to stop us getting poorly and allow us to feel good about ourselves. There's a hormone within us called serotonin. Now, serotonin is called the happy hormone. When we get happy and when we do certain things, it's often released, for instance, when we exercise serotonin. Now, 90% of this is made within our digestive system by these gut bugs. So to be happy and to be, you know, just that feeling jolly, we need to feed our microbiome really well. Now, here I am giving you a science lesson on a Thursday night. The whole reason for this is what our microbiome love to eat, or what they feed off, is the bright colours of plant-based foods. So they feed off something called phytonutrients, and these are found within the spectrum of the rainbow, which is why I've put this picture here. So it's really important to diversify what we eat. All too often we get stuck in a rut and we just end up buying the same food week in, week out, because we know exactly what to get. But what I'm asking you to do tonight is to really think about eating the rainbow every single day. Now, that's got to be the rainbow of plant-based food. So that's anything that grows on a tree, on a bush, underground. It's not anything that comes from anything else. So it's not an egg or anything like that, because that's not grown from a plant. So any fruit, any vegetables, any legumes, like I'm trying to think, rice and things like that, any nuts and seeds as well, they all come into this category of falling into the rainbow. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is have a little think about what you've eaten today, and into the chat I would like you, and if you haven't eaten any, that's absolutely fine. What wouldn't be fine is if you don't eat any colours tomorrow. So for instance, I'll give you an example. This morning I had some muesli with some nuts and seeds, which is just something that I make up in the morning. So that's my white tick. I had a tuna and sweet corn sandwich at lunchtime. So that's my yellow tick. I had some carrot and some red pepper, it was, on the side of my sandwich. I also had some cucumber, so that was my green tick. And then for dinner I've had some burritos with some red pepper, which is the blue purple tick. So you're excuse me, you're aiming to get something red, something orange, something yellow, something green, something blue purple, and something that's white, which is missing from this rainbow here, in your diet every single day. So can you now have a quick stop, a quick think about what you've eaten today, and put in the chat how many colours you ladies have eaten? Let's see whether I can, oops, sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. So how many colours have you eaten today? Let's just see. Yellow just had a banana, so one colour. Only green, celery, cabbage, broccoli. Well, that's good. So we've got 4 from Barbara. Great. Any more? Mark, is that 2? And there's 1 0 as well. Again, as I said, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. What matters is tomorrow, I want you to think about how you can increase that number. So the maximum is 6 different colours. So we're looking to really add diversity into our daily diet. And the reason for that is our gut bugs love diversity. Different ones feed off different things. And also different colours do different things for us. So for instance, orange food is really good for our vision. Blue purple food is really good for healthy aging. So it's really, really important to get this diversity within our diets, within our bodies, essentially, because they really do help. So there are lots of things that you can do to increase this diversity, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. So what you're trying to do is trying to eat food as close to its natural state as possible. So for instance, eat food that is recognizable as that thing. So an example of a stir fry is really good here, because you chop up the veg, you put it in, and it still looks like your carrot, your broccoli, your pepper, and all those other lovely things that you put into it. Whereas if you were to go and, I don't know, buy, let's say, a chicken nugget or a box of chicken nuggets, it doesn't look like a chicken. It doesn't look like that. So what I'm asking you to do is really try and think about eating food as close to its natural state as possible. Does that make sense? Just give me a nod if it makes sense. Great. The other thing to do is to really try and eat clean food or real food. So what we're trying to do, it doesn't necessarily have to be really clean, because actually people say we're too clean these days, which is why it's causing all these allergies and things. So a little bit of soil or a little bit of dirt isn't going to kill us, and in actual fact will probably do us some good. But what this means here is to try and reduce processed foods. So by eliminating food that is packed full with preservatives and additives, which are chemicals essentially that our bodies have to deal with, and they're alien to our bodies, because if we think back to our cavemen ancestors who just went out and killed some meat and killed an animal and brought that back and cooked it on an open fire, and then went and picked their berries and dug their sort of root veg and things like that, they didn't have all these things to keep them around for a long time. And so our bodies haven't been designed to be processing all of the chemicals that we are having to deal with in this day and age. So again, it goes back to really trying to eat non-processed foods as much as possible. And that does mean really cooking yourself if at all possible. Or if you don't like cooking, try one meal a week and then gradually increase that. There's so much on YouTube these days as well. It's such a lovely resource that you can learn so many new skills. So it's about really trying different things, I suppose. So some of you have put a high number of the rainbow eating, some of you have put a low number. So my challenge for you tomorrow, as I've said, is to increase that number. I'm not expecting you to go from 0 pieces of fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, legumes to 6 overnight. That would be unrealistic. But in that, try and keep me in the back of your head when you're doing your next supermarket shop, and just try something different. Just mix it up a little bit. Have a look and see what there is. If there's something you've never had before, buy it and then come back and Google how to cook it or what to do with it. It's just about this variety. And the aim, I read recently in an immunity book by a doctor, she said we should really be trying to get 30 different fruits, veg, nuts, seeds and legumes within our diet each week. And I know that's an awful lot. So it's just about finding ways to mix it up. I'll leave that one with you, okay? So what we're going to do now is talk about the science of eating. So we've already had a bit of a digestive system science lesson this evening, but there are lots of things that we can do about how we eat, which is almost as equally as important as what we eat. So bear with me, because this sounds a little bit odd. And when I first learned about this, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But all too often we grab some food because we're hungry and we don't give it two thoughts about what it is we're eating. And what the science suggests is that actually we should be taking time to eat. So we should be aiming to eat a meal over about a 20-minute period. This is sort of a dinner. I'm not expecting you to take 20 minutes to eat a piece of toast in the morning or a sandwich, because that would be quite tricky. But essentially what they're trying to do, or what the recommendation is that we eat a lot slower. So we've been designed with teeth. Can anybody in the chat guess what the average number of chews per mouthful we make with each chew? Each mouthful before we swallow it. So we put food in our mouth, we chew it, and then we swallow it. What's the average number of chews made before we swallow the food? Can you have a guess in the chat, please? Let's have a look. Right, so we've got 10 chews, 8, 20, 30, 5. Leslie, you are the closest. The actual number of chews on average we make is 3. Now, this study was done in America, and Americans have a slightly different diet to us, but not so diversely different that we would be that much more. The recommended number of times of chewing is 20. So some of you were close by that number. Obviously, it's very dependent on what we eat. So if you were to eat an apple, my daughter made an observation at lunchtime. She said, "Mummy, it takes me ages to eat an apple." And I said, well, that's because it's really hard, and that's really good for you because you've got to actually chew it. Now, the action of the chewing within our mouths releases hormones and chemicals within our mouths, which start the digestive process in our mouths. So it releases amylase and protease, which are things that start to break down the starch, and that happens in our mouths. If we don't chew, those things aren't released. So the whole digestion starts even lower down our digestive tract. So it starts then within the stomach. So it's really, really important to take your time to eat, to chew, and to think about what it is you're eating. So that mindful approach to eating. So it might be sitting down and thinking about where the food came from, or who picked your food, or where it was shipped from, or how much it would cost in another country to have the same meal. Whatever it is, try and think about the food, because all too often we sit down to eat our lunch or whatever, and sometimes we don't even sit down. We're standing, we're eating on the move, or we're driving and eating at the same time, and we're not consciously actually thinking about the food. And for me, food is there to be celebrated. It's a real, just a wonderful thing, food. It provides us with energy. It provides us with everything that we need to keep going. And so it's only fair to give it that time to do its best job for us. I quite often liken ourselves to a car. So when a car runs out of petrol, it stops working. We are like a car in that when we run out of food, we grind to a halt and we just don't work very efficiently at all. If you were to fill your car with petrol or diesel that had been tampered with and watered down, your car would end up sort of chugging along. It would work, but it wouldn't work very efficiently. And it's exactly the same for our human bodies. If we eat food that's been tampered with and watered down and had chemicals and preservatives added, then we will work, and our bodies do work for us, but they don't work as well as if you put the premium petrol in, or the lovely, very expensive fuel, diesel, whatever it is. So in that regard, it's about fueling yourself and reminding yourself that that's why we are eating. So another thing that I suggest to people is to eat until you're 75% full. So I'm sure we've all been in that situation before, where we've been so hungry, so ravenous, that we've got to that real hangry sort of time that we've just wolfed our food down so quickly. And then we get to the end of our plate and we're like, oh my goodness, I feel awful. I'm sure we've all been there. We've all done it. And hopefully we've all learned from it. Because what happens is, within our bodies, it takes 20 minutes for your body to send a signal to your brain that you are full. So there's a hormone released in your body called leptin, which when you are full, it says stop. So the leptin within me would say, stop eating, Claire. You've had enough to eat. I'm full. You've got everything you need. Carry on with your day. So it takes about 20 minutes for the release of this leptin to give me that signal to stop eating. So if you stop when you're 75% full, that gives the leptin time to, or the body time to signal to the leptin, actually you're full now. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if it makes sense. Great, okay. So we're eating mindfully, we're eating slowly, and we're just eating till we're 75% full. Another really important thing is to eat when you are not stressed out. Now, our bodies have been designed to have this fight or flight reaction when we get stressed. Our caveman ancestors used to get stressed out when they were chased by a saber-toothed tiger or something. They were being chased. They had exactly the same reactions within their body as we get when we're stuck in a car in a traffic jam and we need to be somewhere and we should have been there 10 minutes ago. Or your boss has just said, I need this piece of work and I need it right now, and you can't get it. Our bodies react in exactly the same way. And when we're stressed, one of the things that happen is the blood is sent to the areas of our bodies which need to react quickly. And that's it's the muscles, because your body is sensing danger. And so the blood goes to your muscles to enable you to run away from this saber-toothed tiger, or just to get out of danger. And as such, instead of the blood going to your stomach and helping the whole digestion system happening, what happens is it gets sent to other areas. In fact, 4 times less blood goes to the stomach when you are stressed than it does when you are nice and relaxed. And so the whole digestive system doesn't work as effectively. So it's really, really important to try and eat in a stress-free environment, and you will need to experiment with that. It might be that you just take a few breaths before you eat. It might be that you need to take your meal into a different room away from your boss at work. It might be that you go for a quick walk just to get some fresh air before you sit down to eat. Whatever you find works for you, it's really important to try and eat in this stress-free environment as much as you can. The last thing is to try and sit with people and eat. Make it a celebration, make it something as a social occasion, because it is a real, well, as I said at the beginning, diet means way of life. And all too often we now sit with our dinners on our laps in front of the TV, just not focusing on our food, not focusing on other people. Now, I know for those people living on their own in lockdown, that's impossible, but it's about just thinking about your food a little bit more and bringing the attention back to that and using it as an occasion to have a chat about your day. And find what's worked, you know, what's been good about your partner's day or your husband's day or your child's day at school or whatever it might be. And it just becomes this real social time. So have I got any questions about how to eat? Pop it in the chat if you have. If not, could you put one of those things, which one of those things has resonated best or most fully with you? So is it the mindful eating? Is it taking time to chew? Is it eating until you're 75% full? Is it eating when you're not stressed? Or is it sitting with your family? Which one of those, let me just try and find my mouse, has resonated with you the most? Eating stress-free. Is it okay to have fruit for dinner? Yeah, it's okay to have fruit for dinner. Absolutely. I mean, fruit's got sugar in. I know dentists don't like it as much. You need enough variety. So you need a nice equal plate of proteins, carbohydrates, fats and vitamins. So you need to have that nice balanced diet. So I wouldn't recommend just having fruit, but absolutely. Okay, eating mindfully and making it an occasion, absolutely. Taking time to chew, that's resonated with somebody. Great. So hopefully we are getting some value and learning a few bits about not just what to eat, but how to eat. And I think this element of things is quite often overlooked. So hopefully you'll remember this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is setting your environment up for success. So bear with me here, because there might be a few of you thinking, oh my goodness, what on earth is Claire talking about? There's no way in the world I would do that. But just bear with me and listen to my reasoning. So we do things much better when we're successful. When we accomplish things, when we can feel good about things, we do it again, because we get the reward of a hormone called dopamine. It's a celebratory, yes, well done, you've done it. So the first one on the list of things in this slide is to get rid of the scales, your bathroom scales, because you're setting yourself up for failure. If you got on the scales at the same time every day, your body fluctuates so much that even if you think you are losing weight, you might have gained weight because your period's due, because you've had a glass of water, because you haven't yet been to the toilet, or for whatever reason. Our body weight fluctuates so much. And if in the morning we step on the scales and it's worse than we want it to be, we set our standards, or we set our day with failure. So my recommendation when I work with my clients is that they ditch those scales. And they just get the feeling of success in other ways. So I've got one client who has measured her success in being able to do her jeans belt up one notch more. So for her, it's about being able to put her jeans back on and not only do them up, but actually tighten the notch to an extra one. And she hasn't got on the scales, and she used to be a scale fanatic. She used to get on them every day. And she said a good day would be when I got on the scales in the morning and I lost weight. A bad day in all manners of her life would be when she got on the scales and she'd put on weight, and that would just set her day up almost for failure. So you don't even have that sort of automatic success failure straight away in the morning. So that's my reason for ditching the scales. Another thing I suggest to people is to don't have those craving foods available. Now, we all have some type of food that we go to that we are, oh my gosh, I'm feeling happy, I'm going to celebrate with packets of crisps, so I'm feeling really angry, I'm going to commiserate, or I'm going to take out my anger and I'm going to have a packet of digestives or whatever it be. We've all got something that is our go-to craving food. If you don't have that food in your cupboard, if you were craving that food, but you had to actually physically get out to your car, drive to the shops, buy the food, come back, probably by the time you've actually purchased the food, you're not feeling like you need it anymore. So one client I worked with, her thing was Kit Kats. She craved Kit Kats. And so I said to her, right, Jenny, I'm not asking you to get rid of the Kit Kats. I'm just asking you to put them somewhere where it's less accessible. Now, this was over the winter, and she put her Kit Kats into a Tupperware in her garden shed, because she knew that when it came to that point of the evening where she'd had a bit of a tough day at work, she was very unlikely to put on her shoes, go out in the dark and the cold British winter, go to her garden shed, open the door, get the Tupperware out and get her Kit Kat. By the time she'd got that feeling, she just couldn't be bothered to go through all of those steps to get the Kit Kat, so she didn't have one. And so it's about finding ways to get rid of those Kit Kats or whatever those craving foods are that are in your house. And if other people still have them, then it's working out ways to try and stop you having them yourself. So another thing I suggest to people is to try and eat from a smaller plate. Psychologically, if you have a massive dinner plate with only a small bit of food plated up in the middle, you're going to think, oh, I've hardly got any food on that plate. And your brain starts sending signals before you've even started that you're going to be hungry. You're going to want more. You're going to want seconds. And you've got this internal chatter going on and on and on that you are going to need more food because it doesn't look very much. But if you were to plate exactly the same portion up on a smaller plate, automatically the plate looks fuller. Your brain is saying, oh, there's a nice big plate of food in front of me. That's going to satisfy my needs. That's going to satisfy my hunger. That's going to provide me with all that I need. And it's about the psychology behind it more than anything else. So if you've got a choice between plating up on a huge plate or a smaller plate, always choose the smaller plate, because that's going to send or get your brain in the best sort of psychological form for that. Another thing that I ask people to do, or I recommend that people do, is to plan your meals. Now, at the time, before you go shopping, the thought of going, right, what am I going to eat for the next 7 days or however long, is a little bit time consuming, a little bit boring, a little bit tedious, and a little bit of hard work. But it takes maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to plan 7 meals a week. And then from that plan, you then do your shopping list. So if you are able to plan your meals and go, right, one day I'm going to have a stir fry, another night we're going to have a curry, another night we're going to have, or whatever it is that you plan, if you then buy the food in, you're much more likely to go to the fridge of an evening and go, ah, right, it's curry night tonight. I need to get out this, and this, and then you start making it. Whereas if you go to the fridge every night and go, oh, what shall I cook tonight? I've got some bacon or some chicken. I've got some vegetables. What can I do with that? Oh, I don't know. What could I do with that? And so you are having to think every single day. You're much more likely to go, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go to the drawer and get a pizza out of the freezer. Or I'm just going to quickly give Deliveroo a quick ring because, quite frankly, I'm too tired. I can't be bothered to work out what it is I want, and this is the easier option. But if you can eliminate all of that decision-making process by just being a little bit more organised, you're setting yourself up for success. Now, if you would like tonight, let me just see whether this works. If you would like, I will put in the chat a link to a meal planner. Yep, that's gone. So if you would like a downloadable meal planner, just click on that link and it will come through. You just put in your email address and it will come through to you. Basically, it will help you plan what you're going to eat for the week. From there, what happens is you then look and go, right, I've said we're going to have chicken stir fry, we're going to have a curry, we're going to have bolognese, we're going to have vegetable lasagna, and then we're going to have whatever. From that, you then make your shopping list. And then you go shopping, or you do your online shopping, and you do that in a way where you are feeling full and in a good mood. If you shop when you're cross, you're much more likely to put those craving foods in your shopping basket. If you shop when you're hungry, you're much more likely to put other food in that you don't necessarily need. If you shop when you are tired and shattered, you won't choose the best healthy options. We'll talk more about sleep next time. So try and shop when you are well fed and when you're in a positive place, in a positive mood, because that means that your decisions will be a lot crisper and a lot better. Have frozen food and other cupboard staples available. So every now and again, life throws a curveball at us and things happen. If you've got things so for me, a pasta sauce is my go-to. It doesn't take very long. If I've got a tin of tomatoes, I've got some bacon, I've got some herbs, chuck it all in a pot and I get a nice homemade pasta sauce within about 20 minutes. I know that I've always got those foods available. I love spicy foods. I keep frozen chili. I buy chilies and freeze them, put them in my freezer. I do the same with ginger. I do the same with some herbs. I keep mint in my freezer. I keep coriander in my freezer, just so that I've always got them available. So it's just about setting up your environment to allow you to make it easy for yourself. The other suggestion is to batch cook. So when you're making a ragu bolognese, don't just do it for your family of 4, do it for 8, do it for 10, do it for 12, because chopping an extra few onions isn't going to take you much more time. But when you come to dish up, you give your family or yourself enough food, but then you freeze the leftovers so that you know if you're working late one night, or if you're too tired, or baby won't sleep, or whatever, you've got homemade nutritious food in your freezer that can be ready in minutes, rather than having to go to Domino's or whatever Deliveroo. You've got things there that are easy, that are nutritious, that your microbiome are going to be doing this happy little dance about, which in turn will give you more energy. The other thing is to try and surround yourself with like-minded people. There's some crazy statistic, and I can't remember the exact number, but if you and your family members and friends are obese, I think it's 45% more likely to be obese yourself, because you just pick up their habits. So if you were to actually, this one surprised me. If you were to eat a donut every single day for a year, you'd put on 19 kilograms. So if your work colleagues brought a donut in every day, and that's the only change they made, and you had one every day for a year, you would put on 19 kilos. So it just goes to show you very much are like the people that you surround yourself with. And I know we can't always choose those people, because if we're in a sort of normal work situation rather than working from home, then we don't get to choose who our bosses or who our colleagues are. But we have got some sort of influence over who we socialize with and who we go out for a meal with and things like that. So just have a think about it. Just think, have that in the back of your mind, that we do like to be like our peers. It's inbuilt within us to try and conform to the people, to try and be like the people that we spend our time with. If you spend your time with smokers, you're much more likely to smoke. If you're much more spend a lot of time with people who drink alcohol really heavily, you're much more likely to drink alcohol, because we are a tribal community. We've been born to live as a tribe. In fact, there's a lovely quote that goes, bees were born to live in a hive and humans were born to live in a tribe. And we were born to live in this tribe because we sort of bounce off each other, we support each other, we go and do lots of things together. So we are tribal humans, which is positive in lots of ways, but unfortunately every now and again that backfires on us. So just think about who you're spending your time with. So if you want that free meal planner, just click on the link and you should be able to follow it through. If you don't do it now, that's fine. That will happen. I'll pop it in the chat again at the end. Okay, so we've talked about what to eat, we've talked about how to eat, we've talked about setting our environment up for success, but when is a good time to eat? Now, the key thing I say to my clients is listen to your body. This was really one skill I learned from having chronic fatigue syndrome, was to learn to listen to my body, because I was just one of these people that would keep going all of the time, and all of a sudden I needed to stop. And quite often we set ourselves up where we just override any signals that our bodies send to us. You yawn, you're shattered, and you just go, oh, I'll have another cup of coffee to see me through. Whereas actually what we should be doing is setting our alarm a little bit later if possible, but certainly going up to bed earlier. We get hungry and we're just so absorbed in whatever it is we do. We think, oh, it's okay, I know I'm hungry, but instead of eating, I will just finish X, Y, and Z before I eat. And then you get into something else. And by the time it comes to lunchtime, you realize it's 3:30. So it's about really listening to your body. Time restricted eating is something that has got quite a lot of press about in the last few years now. For those of you who haven't heard of time restricted eating, it's basically eating within a certain time frame. So there's two different ways of doing this. You can either time restrict, eat every single day, or there's the Michael Mosley sort of 5-2 diet, where you eat what you want for 5 days and then 2 days a week you fast. Now, if we think back to sort of populations in times gone by, religions fast. You know, there's sort of Ramadan, there's Lent, there's all sorts of different fastings that have happened throughout the world and throughout all the generations that have ever lived. And the reason for this is that our bodies like to have a break. Our microbiome don't want to be working all of the time. They need to rest as well. It's a bit like all the other organs of our bodies. They like to relax. And although some organs never stop working, so your heart, your brain, your lungs, for instance, they slow down whilst we rest and recuperate and have a whole cleaning process. But we'll talk about that next time. What our bodies weren't designed to have is 24-hour Tesco's down the road, or the petrol station in the other direction. That's also 24 hours. That if we fancy some food, we can just pop out and buy whatever it is whenever we want it. Our bodies weren't designed to eat like that. We weren't designed to snack all the time. We were actually designed to have breaks from eating. So when I talk about time restricted eating, again, it's completely and utterly up to you how you do this. But what we're trying to achieve is to eat all of your food within a 12-hour window. So from the moment you wake up and put something in your mouth, whether that be a cup of tea with milk in it, or a bowl of cereal, whatever it is that you have first, unless it's water, it counts. All the way through to the last thing that you put in your mouth that day. So whether you have your dinner at 7 o'clock, you might then have a yogurt at 7:30, you might then sit on the sofa with a cup of tea and a biscuit, you might then have another cup of tea at 9:30 before you go up to bed. That would still count. So the only things that don't count are water and herbal teas, because that's essentially water and there's no calorific value in it. So we're trying to get, optimally, they say 8-hour window. Now that's pretty tough. And I've tried it and I'm not very good at that at all. Stretch that to a 10-hour window. If you can eat the first thing at 8 o'clock in the morning and the last thing you eat is 6 o'clock at night, that's probably pushing it a little bit hard. I would suggest for most people, a 12-hour window might be 7 in the morning, last thing that you eat is 7 o'clock at night. That is pretty doable. But it's really very good for you because it gives your body chance to rest. It gives your body chance to recuperate and then to work more efficiently the next day. If you think about how you feel when you're tired and you keep going, the next day you're not as effective because you're tired. It's exactly the same as your microbiome. So you've got to give it a chance to rest. So what I'd like you to do in the comments is try and work out, if you haven't had dinner yet tonight, then this won't count. Do it for yesterday. But try and work out what time you first had something to eat or drink that wasn't water, and then work out how many hours on was the last thing that you ate. So it's probably actually going to be better to do it for yesterday, because today we are still only 7:45. So have a think. How many hours window? Drop it in the chat. Let's see how we're doing. We've got 9 hours. That's brilliant. Gosh, well done. And for some people, they're more than capable of getting up and not eating anything first thing in the morning. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. Great. We've got Mark does intermittent fasting, 16 to 8. Great. And anybody else working out how many hours they are eating for? We got 8. Sandrine, you've got a baby, that's fine. You're probably up a lot more hours than we are as well at the moment with a baby. Great. So actually, we've got a room full of time restricted eating nearly. That's brilliant. I'm not saying you've got to, but it's just something to consider. If you are feeling a little bit overweight, then that is something that you can do. There was a study done on mice actually that they were given, one group was given food within a time restricted window of, I think it was 8 or 10 hours. There was another group of mice given exactly the same number of calories, but they had access to it 24/7. So they were given the same amount of food. The mice that were time restricted didn't put on any weight. The mice that had 24-hour access to exactly the same number of calories put on weight. So although there was no difference in the amount they were actually eating, the only difference was the time window in which they were eating. The ones that had the greater time window put on more weight, and that was the only difference. So it just goes to show, I've known quite a few people who've gone on a time restricted diet and it's worked wonders for them. Again, it wouldn't work for everybody because we all live different lifestyles, but it's about finding what works for you. So it goes on to this last point here: reduce snacking and give your body a break. It goes to say, you know, I had a client who just snacked all the time, and I said to them, why is it that you're snacking? And they were like, I'm hungry. So I said, well, increase the portion sizes or change the food in which you're eating. So if we're eating sort of food that gives us a sugar high, it will then give us a sugar low. We all of a sudden go onto the sugar roller coaster of wanting more food, feeling really low, eating more food, feeling really low in energy. And so we're on this roller coaster all day. Whereas if you eat sort of more starchy carbohydrates, which have a slower release of energy, things like porridge for breakfast, for example, rather than a bowl of crunchy nut cornflakes, we've got this much more steady release of energy, which allows you to keep going much better than you would if you kept having these sugar spikes throughout the morning from eating crunchy nut cornflakes and then having a muffin at coffee time, and then you're hungry again, so you pop down to the vending machine and grab something else. So it's just about how much you're eating and what it is you're eating. Okay, so that leads quite nicely on to why you eat. So we are inbuilt within us to crave sweet things. Our cavemen ancestors used to crave sweet things which were available at the end of the summer. So they used to eat all the berries that they could to put on weight so that your body would transfer the sugar into fat, which would keep them warmer over the winter. Now, our cavemen ancestors didn't have Tesco 24 down the road or Asda that was 24-hour access, and so they could only have access to these sweet things at the end of the summer when the berries were available. Obviously, time has subsequently changed, and now we can have sweet food whenever we want it. And as a result, our bodies have put on fat, and we find it very hard to leave it. So if you are craving sweet things, don't think that you are a bad person. You're not at all, because it's inbuilt within us. But it's going back to noticing our bodies and really understanding why we are eating. So quite a lot of people have put on weight over COVID for a number of reasons, one of which we've had access to food, but quite a lot of us have struggled with the emotions of the uncertainty, the not knowing what's going on, the worry, the just scared feelings that we've got about our relatives catching it, and all of these emotions that wouldn't ordinarily be part of our lives as they have been in the last year. And quite a few people have sought refuge by eating more. So quite a lot of people emotionally eat because they're lonely, because they're bored. Some people eat because they get angry. And some people eat because they find the chocolate bar just gives them a nice big hug and they find comfort in that. And there's nothing wrong with emotional eating, but it's about noticing when you are eating and why you are doing it. So if you're eating because you're lonely, when you go to the fridge to get whatever it is that you are getting out of the fridge because you're lonely, think to myself, am I actually hungry, or am I eating it because I'm just lonely? I just want some comfort. I just want something else to do. And if that's the case, think to yourself, what could you substitute that chocolate bar with? So instead of going to the fridge when you're lonely, maybe you could phone a friend. Maybe you could jump on a Skype call with somebody or a Zoom call with somebody. If you're lonely, maybe you could immerse yourself in a book. It's about finding something else to satisfy that emotion rather than food. It's the same with boredom. Quite often it's like, oh, I start twiddling your thumbs. What shall I do? Oh, I'm bored. Here's a great example. What do kids always ask for in a car? They want food because they're bored. 5 minutes into the journey, Mummy, please, can I have some sweets? And you're like, you can't be hungry. We've just had breakfast or lunch or whatever. But it's just that association of boredom with food. So what can you do to relieve that boredom rather than head to the crisp packet or head to the, I don't know, biscuit tin? Try and think about what you could do instead. And I think someone's just put something in the chat. Any recommendations for hormonal binge eating? I cannot control myself. Mark, it's all about finding other things to do instead. So hormones are tough because they're inbuilt within us. But it's recognizing that it's that time of month. So maybe instead of eating, find something else that you enjoy doing. If you get twitchy fingers, I had one client who she often, it wasn't unusual for her to have 4 packets of crisps a day. And she came to me overweight, and I helped her overcome that. And she said, I just get twitchy fingers. So I said to her, well, why don't you try doing something with those fingers? Why don't you try and crochet or knit? And so she took up crocheting. So instead of wanting to do something with her fingers, i.e. open packets and just eat, she just managed to do something else much more productive and also much better for herself than just sit there and eat, because she was feeling jittery, I suppose, and want to do something. So yeah, it's about finding other things that you can do instead. So it might be having a hot bath. It might be watching an episode of something on Netflix. It might be emailing a friend. It can be anything. It can be anything you want it to be, but trying to notice why you are eating and know that you are eating because you're in need of company. Well, in that case, instead of finding company in a Mars bar, go and find company and give your friend a call, or, you know, write a letter to your mum, or just do something else that's more productive. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've had emotional eating because of hormones. Can people pop in the chat when they find themselves emotionally eating? So what emotion do you feel when you find yourself going for those craving foods? If you're not feeling too shy, do you want to just pop it in the chat for me? Is it anger? Is it boredom? Is it frustration? Comfort, yeah. Stress, yeah. PMS. I eat most when I'm working, yeah. Boredom and anxiety, absolutely. And my goodness, we felt anxious, we felt bored, we felt stressed, we felt like we've needed comfort in this last year, more so than any other thing. So it's noticing when you eat and why it is you're eating. And it's about then making those changes. I've not had a biscuit for a while. Great, well done, Leslie. That's brilliant. But it might not be biscuits that you're down for. Who knows? It could be crisps or chocolates. I'm not saying, but no. Sometimes it's lovely to look back and go, actually, I haven't been doing that, and that's where you give yourself a pat on the back and feel successful and go, yes, I'm doing the right thing. Okay, so we're nearly there. What other influencing factors play a big part on how much we eat and why we eat? Well, the first thing is hydration. Our body is 60 to 70% water, and we need to be drinking 1.2 litres, which is about 8 glasses of water a day. Now, I've already seen some people reaching for their water, which is great. I always have a glass of water on the go. Water's brilliant. If we get a 2% reduction in hydration levels within our bodies, it can affect our physical and mental performance by up to 25%. So even a really small drop in dehydration can massively impact how much our bodies do, but also how much our brains are able to do, because our brain is 80% water. So it's just about making sure we're hydrated. Water is best. If you don't like water, try adding a slice of frozen lemon. That's another thing I keep in my freezer, is I buy a big bag of lemons, chop them all up, and then freeze them individually on the tray, and then just bag them up the day later. Then I've always got frozen lemon to make my water taste nice. Sorry, I digress. If you need to, put in some squash, but make sure it's sugar-free. But really, water is the main thing. If you sign up, if you say you want to get the meal planner, I've put hydration column down the side of it. You can keep a tally of how many glasses of water you drink a day. It might be, you might be like Jeanette, and you have a big bottle at the beginning of the day, and you need to make sure that you finish that by the time you've gone to bed. Or you might buy one of these bottles that have the time on it. I've got those for my children, so I don't have to nag them quite as much. And that's a real motivator, that you literally drink till the hour goes down, and then you refill it, and then you do it again. So you have 2 bottles a day. Whatever works for you, just give it a go. Just my encouragement to you is to just drink more water. You'll find that you will wee more the first couple of days. That's just your body getting used to it. But actually, being more hydrated is the simplest and the cheapest and the most effective way to improve your health quickly. So 1.2 litres a day. Obviously that's going to change a little bit depending on how hot it is, how active you are, how big you are, whether you're feeding a baby or not. So there's lots of different influencing factors, but that's just a general sort of guideline. Another thing that massively influences what we eat and how much we eat is sleep. Now, when we're tired, we eat a lot more. In fact, we eat up to 300 calories more per day. And the reason for that is our bodies send a signal to us to say, I'm hungry, eat more, quicker. They also, remember this leptin hormone that we talked about quite a long time ago now, it feels like, the one that says, stop eating, Claire, you're full. So that leptin, when you're tired, is released later. So you keep eating more and more and more until that is released. So as a result, you end up eating more calories. The other thing is that you've got something called you reach for endocannabinoids, which are connected with cannabis. It's a craving thing, and actually our bodies crave more sugary sort of sweet treats or more processed foods as a result. So not only are we eating more because we've got a hormone imbalance, but we tend to go to the foods that aren't as nutritional for us as perhaps we go for when we are when we are fully awake. So we need to try and get 7 to 9 hours sleep a night, but we'll talk more about sleep next time. The other thing that massively impacts our life is movement. So if we are active, if we're moving our bodies in the way that is recommended, then quite often that has a knock-on effect to how we eat. So the World Health Organization, recommends 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise. That can be a brisk walk, that can be a run, it can be a cycle, it can be gardening, it can be quite hardcore hoovering. It doesn't matter so long as your body is moving 150 minutes a week, which is about, I think it's 21 minutes a day. It's not very much. So it's the recommended amount, let's say 30 minutes a day of movement, then encourages much other healthy habits when it comes to things like food. So I've touched on those things very briefly because we're going to cover those much more detail in the weeks to come. But can you pop in the chat which one of those three things do you think that you need to prioritize more to help with the food that you are consuming? Is it hydration? Is it sleep? Or is it movement? Movement. All. Oh, and that's why you're here. Sleep. I think that one is hydration and sleep. Yeah. So, as I said, we will touch on these other areas more in subsequent talks. Right, so over to you, basically. So what we need to try, or what you need to try and do, is avoid restrictive yo-yo diets. So restrictive diets don't really work. It's all about adding good things in instead. So as we said at the beginning, eat a variety of fresh food, try and avoid the processed foods, cut back on any empty calories, and quite often in drinks, there's a lot of empty calories there. Try and eat a bit more mindfully. So think about what it is you're eating. Be more organized. So plan your meals, and whatever it feels like you're wasting your time when you're doing your planning, actually you're saving all that confusion and decision making every single day when you go to cook your evening meal. Consider when you are eating, and listen to your body as to why you're eating, and then tackle weight loss from a whole body perspective. So don't just go on a crash diet, but really prioritize your sleep, because that's so important. Really give your body a break. So think about time restricted eating. Maybe move your body more, maybe focus on your hydration more. So it's about doing it from all different angles, and it's not just one diet that you're going on, that you're going to cut out all sugar, or you're going to there are so many diets out there that you could go on. So it's just not about restricting yourself, it's about doing it from a multi-pronged approach. So it is completely over to you. You can feel more energized, you can feel stronger, you can feel much more in control of your health by focusing on different areas. So I've popped my website on there. If you've got any questions, I will stay here for a little bit and answer any questions that you may have. I'll come off screen to share and we can have a chat. I've got a Facebook group that you're more than welcome to join. If you've got any questions, email me. But let's stop the share, in fact, now, and then I can open up the floor for any questions. So, has anybody got anything they would like to ask?
Yeah, I've got one. So they say that you can kind of have a cheat day. Is that what do you think about that? Having what you want on one particular day?
I mean, that's the thing with Michael Mosley. He does say you can eat whatever you want for 5 days a week, and then 2 days a week, then you just do a complete, it's sort of like 800 calories a day. What do I think about a cheat day? Now, I'm not somebody, I eat chocolate, I drink wine, I have a beer every now and again. I'm not somebody who says don't ever have a treat, because in my belief, life is too short, and it's not about cutting things out. But you also won't find me having chocolate every day, or you won't find me having wine every day. A treat to me is a treat. It makes an occasion special. So I don't say to people, don't have treats, don't ever have a chocolate bar again or a packet of crisps, but it's about being much more aware of why you're eating it. And are you trying to cover something else up, or is it because of an emotion that you're eating it? Or is it that you're giving yourself that pat on the back, you've done well all week? If you have a big blowout at the weekend and you had, let's say, I don't know, a meal out on Saturday and then a takeaway and then a massive meal with lots of desserts on Sunday and then another big meal, a massive big blowout, then it wouldn't be very good for you. But if you were to have, I don't know, a dessert after a special meal, then my goodness, yes, do it. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank
So
you.
I'm not for cutting out treats.
No.
Not at all. But
I suppose I'm just trying to make myself feel better about my fish and chips that I had today.
I love fish and chips. I really do. I just wouldn't have them
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And obviously, fish and chips wouldn't be as good for you as salmon, grilled salmon, or
Yeah.
you know, something, and some potato wedges that you just coated in olive oil and put in the oven.
Yeah.
So you know, there are these alternatives, but by all means have fish and chips. Yeah, just not every day.
Thank you, Claire. Feel so much better now.
Good. Any other questions?
So you've explained that obviously eating slowly would help digest the digestion.
Yeah.
But can you explain how does it help? Is it better obviously to eat slowly to lose weight? But how do you explain that? I don't know. I don't really understand.
So the reason we need to eat slowly is because of the release of these hormones. So if we eat really quickly, we don't get a signal in our brains to stop eating. And so you end up eating more because you eat quickly, because the hormone isn't released as quickly.
Yeah, I think I don't have leptin in my body. I don't have it.
Neither do I.
Oh, well, no, you can have reduced amounts of leptin. And I think I read something recently that there are in some people much lower amounts of it. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but it's, again, you look at the French, for instance. Here you go. Traditional French people, they have lots and lots of different courses, but they take their time, don't they? And it's you're much less likely to see, well, there's much less obesity in France than there is in the UK or in America. And one of those things that's been said is because they eat slowly and they eat together, and it becomes this social thing. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously that's not always the case, because you know, we're not going to live like that forever, or the French aren't going to live like that forever, I'm guessing. But there's quite a lot of research that's been done into that, I think.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Just want to let everybody know that this recording will be on the online platform. So if you missed the beginning, I know we had a few late joiners. If you missed the beginning and you want to hear it again, just go onto the online platform. It will be available probably from tomorrow. Give us a chance to get it all up. And I really hope you've enjoyed today. So Claire has put her details there. Have you put your email address, Claire, in the chat?
Yeah, I'll do that now.
So if anybody's got any questions for her, please do just email her directly. And if you want to go onto the online platform and just leave any feedback, if you've enjoyed what Claire has said, or if you want to hear more of something the next time round, just let us know. And we can have a chat and just make sure that everybody gets what they need from these chats. And if there's no other questions, anyone at all? If there's none, then we look forward to seeing you in your exercise gear next week. Monday's the first class if you can join. I know it's Easter Monday, so some people may not be available then, but do try and make at least 2 classes for the week, just so that we can get the result. And just try to eat like the rainbow, as Claire said. Try and get at least one more or 2 more coloured parts of your diet in tomorrow. Yeah, and I'll try and do the same. And let's keep in touch on the online platform, and we can just encourage each other to keep going and stuff like that. So thank you guys for making this evening. It's been really good, very informative. So thank you.
Yes.
And I feel better about my fish and chips, so it's a win-win.
Yes.
So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys if you in the class on Monday. We see you then, and that is with Rochelle. It's more of a Zumba upbeat class, a lot of fun and really high energy. So yeah, and if you need to talk to the tutors about what they're teaching, or if you need something more low level impact for you, just leave a message with me or on the platform, and we'll make sure that the tutor knows, and we'll be able to tailor it for you on the day. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. You guys have stayed till the end, so that means that you've enjoyed it. So no, that's really good. So have a great evening. Enjoy whatever food you're going to have now, and we see you. See you on Monday. Sorry, Geeta, did you have a question? Maureen?
Tatiana had one, I think.
Yeah, what time? What time is on Monday, please?
Right, so at the moment the classes are 7 o'clock on Monday. We are looking to revise mornings, so if anybody wants more of a morning class, then please do let us know. We want to tailor things to everybody, so everyone can make it and have make the most of these free classes and get what they can out of it. So if you prefer mornings, let us know. If evenings are fine, let us know so we can tailor them for you.
Do you do it on any other days? Like
there's Monday, Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, come on Wednesday.
Yeah, great.
Monday at 7.
Yeah, perfect. Wednesday is with Anna Maria, which is more strength training and like sort of boxing and that kind of thing. So yeah.
What's on Thursday evening?
No, that's Wednesday.
Okay.
That's Wednesday with Anna Maria. Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday,
and Thursday. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do it Thursday, I might come on Thursday.
Yes, come on Thursday. I'm going to try and do every day next week, but don't hold me to it.
Okay.
But I'm going to try, but yeah, join me, please.
Is it the same link or is it a different link?
It will be the same link for the Zoom classes. The tutors will be there earlier, so if you want to jump on early just to ask them any questions, then do that. So just look out for the information. We'll put everything on the online platform and email. Just please email us if you have any queries about the class.
Yeah, I just email just to inform you on Thursday coming. Yeah,
brilliant. And all Zoom, all the classes are on the platform, on the Zoom platform.
All right then, thank you.
Cool. All right, guys, take care. Have a great evening. Thank you so much, Claire. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for staying.
Yeah, perfect. All right, take care. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night, Sandrine. Take care. Bye. Bye, everyone.